welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willie Bragg. Very quickly, I was supposed to do a video earlier tonight on another subject, but somebody, one of the guests, was held up at work, so we're rescheduling the video for another time. Right now, scheduled on the 19th, but it's probably going to be at another time between now and next week. So we're just going to we're going to try to decide what date we're going to have it on, and that's Jamar Jabari from the Jabari VOC podcast and Tommy Nation Politics, Thomas Salisbury. We're going to be discussing Cornel West and other left-wing options, focusing mostly on Claudia De La Cruz. And so that's what we'll be doing when we get the video ready for next week. The time we're going to be choosing. So anyway, I'm happy to be here doing a video that I'm going to be doing right now. And I was going to do this Saturday, but I figure, well, let me go ahead and do this really quick, because maybe by Saturday it might lose its charm. So I'm going to go ahead and do the video right now. And the video I'm going to be doing is on Cenk Uygur. You know who he is. Cenk Uygur is he's the founder and of the Young Turks. And so I'm going to play you a video of Cenk from the Young Turks, basically talking about his presidential run. Yes, he announced his run for the presidency. And want to make an apology in advance. Any commercials that pops up, I got a new computer, have not put the ad block up yet, so I will improvise that happens. Okay, all right, so here we go.
Guys, this is really important for you to understand. I'm on here as a guest, and I'm on many other shows as a guest. That when I do that, I'm running for my campaign. Okay. But when I'm on as a host, that's my daytime job. So some people are mechanics, some people are, for most of the people running, they're usually some sort of lobbyist, consultant, disguised as a politician, etc. Right? So for me, I have to earn a living. So I'm going to stay on the show, but I am not allowed to talk about things that are directly related to the Democratic primary. I can comment about all the other news, and I can even comment about Biden and Harris. And by the way, if you notice in the last week, I've given Biden a ton of credit for some of the things that he's done, the student debt relief, the job numbers are great. I think I make a better case for Biden than he does, right? And that's part of why he's such a bad candidate, even though he has had some accomplishments.
Yeah, Cenk, we know who you're going to vote for in November of next year. We know it. I mean, it's not exactly a secret.
But so we religiously are going to keep that separate, okay?
All right, so I wanted to allow the audience to weigh in a little bit. I don't want to be all negative, so I'll read the positive comments as well, starting with 420 JR Man, who says, vote for Cenk Uygur. Our POTUS 24. Progressive Bandito says,
oh boy, I knew that was going to happen. Give me a second.
Says Cenk 2024. Fortnite Pro, aka Be Kind Dragon, says, I'm voting for you because we must win. Lisa Schuster, he needs to tell
ridiculous
us how he pronounces his last name.
Yeah, that's super fair. It's for those of you who are new to it, and for a lot of people that are older to it, okay. My name is difficult. Cenk, this is pronounced like a J, Cenk, and then Uygur, Cenk Uygur, okay?
Chunky yogurt, I got it. Chunky yogurt. Very fitting for the Fred Flintstone of the online left. How do I feel about him running for president? An alternative to going, We're gonna go yabba dabba do.
Okay, and it's cenkforamerica.com. Yes, it's CENK foramerica.com. But don't worry, we got almost all the spellings. So you can spell it any way you like, and you'll probably get to us anyway.
Patches the Fury is concerned that you running in a Democratic primary is going to help Trump win. What is your response to that?
So two things, guys. I'm gonna be the main Democrat in the race actually running against Trump. So, I nothing against Marianne Williamson, but her voice just can't get out, right?
I hate to break it to you. I got problems with Marianne Williamson. I got nice things to say about Marianne Williamson, but I got problems about Marianne Williamson. But she's actually more progressive than you are, Cenk. If you're going to go and try to support a progressive in a primary, I would almost justify, if we were going to get invested in the Democratic Party, there's a better case for her than you. And that's saying a lot. That's a low bar, actually, because I do have some issues with Marianne Williamson. Now, I'm not as down on her as some people on maybe my little subsection of the online left, but I do have some issues with her. But you're a little bit more conservative than she is, actually.
And it's not her fault, but it hasn't, right? So, but Biden refuses to run against Trump. He refuses to run against McCarthy and Scalise and all these guys. When's the last time you heard Biden take on Kevin McCarthy? Maybe never, right? Isn't that amazing?
You're talking about a typical Democratic president. Biden ain't the first Democrat to be a pussy against the Republicans in Congress. Okay, he's not. I mean, and I'm too young to remember Jimmy Carter and how things were under Jimmy Carter in Congress. There was no C-SPAN at the time, and there was no 24/7 news coverage of what was going on in DC at the time, the way it started happening under Reagan. But every time I've seen a Democratic president become a president, whenever a Democrat's in the White House, they usually collapse like a deck of cards before Republican bullies in Congress, whether they are the majority or even when they are the minority. The Republicans always govern no matter what size they are in Congress. I mean, and then you get on us if we go and try to vote third party because we get pissed off about this.
The leader of the Democratic Party will not fight the Republicans. I'm gonna get in the race, whichever show I go on, not just this show, but the other shows that'll have me on. I'm gonna explain. Donald Trump is a little tiny baby. He bankrupted 6 different companies. His daddy gave him money. Here, I have a nickname for Donald Trump already. See, already, like no other Democrat would do that. Oh, that's not classy. We just sit here and lose in a super classy way. Well, I'm not classy, okay? So his name from now on is Spoiled Donnie. So
Spoiled Donnie? Dude, I don't even suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, and I got worse names to describe Trump than you do with your symbolic, invisible pink pussy hat.
Spoiled Donnie got $413 million from his dad, and then he sucked his thumb until he lost it all. Total, utter loser. The weakest man in America, the most insecure, most thin-skinned man in America. And he sucks at everything he does. Everyone here, 40 out of 44 cabinet officials that served under his term will not endorse him. Because if you're in a room with Donald Trump, you realize what a lunatic, what a madman. And now he's going around saying that he's gonna destroy our government. He thinks he's gonna suspend our Constitution. For God's sake, Democrats, run against Donald Trump. So that's what I'm gonna do. And so, but guys, I promise you that if it looks like, oh my God, no, the Democrats coalesce again, and they're like, no, we want to lose with Biden. We'd rather lose with Biden than have a real candidate. And besides which, Trump's going to do a giant tax cuts for corporations again, right? So if they coalesce around him, and it looks like, look, I pounded this guy for 3 months, and he's not going away, and I don't want to do damage. No, mission number 1 is beat Trump, beat Trump, beat Trump, beat Trump.
remember in 2020 when Joe Biden said there weren't going to be any fundamental changes? That might have been the most true thing he said, even his dementia state mind in his entire life of living, that there were not going to be any fundamental changes. He kept true to his word. The military-industrial complex busy with this war in the Ukraine. Look what's going on with Gaza over there. What is he doing? Just like Obama did. And to some degree, just like Trump did, ends up sucking Benjamin Netanyahu's cock. So, I think you're a sellout too. I think you will probably do the same damn thing too. You'll probably end up sucking Benjamin Netanyahu's cock, politically speaking.
So we're going to do that together. If it's not working and it's not going in that direction, we're not going to do that. Okay, we're going to fight soon against Trump.
No, I doubt you've even thought about this. So let's get ahead of ourselves a little bit. Reaper Dragon wants to know, if you were to win the nomination, would you consider Marianne as a running mate? And if not, who would you consider? Cenk 2024.
Yeah, so no, I don't. I haven't picked a vice presidential candidate, but bless your heart for asking. Okay, so Marianne's wonderful, but guys, let's whisper of a dream. There are an amazing number of progressives in this country. Okay, sure, vice president, but think of Secretary of Labor, think of Secretary of the Treasury, think of the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, being progressives. I know I'm driving away establishment people. They're like, oh my God, they would do good in this country. They were trying to help real people. Don't do that. That's what my guess is what the mainstream media will say. But I will give you the most spectacular cabinet you have ever seen. JenkForAmerica.com.
Solo6, who resubscribed for 28 months. Thank you for that. Thank God someone is running for president that actually cares about the American people and not the American corporations. So you are getting a lot of support from our audience, but Galfar71 says, why would someone vote for you when you were already saying you aren't in it to win it?
No, I'm in it to win it, brother. So thank you for the question. So listen.
You're in it to win it. Dude, I mean, you could not even win that congressional seat in California that you ran for a couple of years ago. And honestly, I even hate to admit it, you might have actually been the best candidate in that district running. And I hate to even say that. That's a low bar. That's getting low. Even now, I'm saying that it's low. You're in it to win it. You couldn't even win that race. They didn't know who the fuck you were. They didn't know who the fuck you were, even over there in California. Now, it could be you would be taken more seriously if you were to run for the U.S. Senate. I think people may know who you are a little bit more now than several years ago, and you may get a little more attention if you run for the U.S. Senate in California for the vacated seat of Dianne Feinstein. You still won't get the nomination. You wouldn't even be anywhere close to winning the nomination. But you may raise some nominally good issues, possibly. I mean, I'll still be laughing at you and thinking, yeah, what a waste of time. But I would that decision would be a little more respectful than you running for the presidency. In the Democratic primaries, I have a whole lot to say with my notes here in a minute.
Yeah, there's layers to this, right? Layer number one is Biden's going to lose. We need as many people in this race as possible. So now, if I was a normal politician, I would say, no, I don't want other people in the race. It's about me. That's how almost all politicians think, right?
It is all about you.
No, I'm telling you guys, I'm a proxy. Let's go. Let's get everybody in here. Now, does that mean I'm going to leave when they get out? No. When they get in, I'm going to kick their ass. And if I don't, and you pick one of them, great, no problem. I believe in democracy. I believe in primaries. But I also believe that I make a way better case for the Democratic Party than any of those guys do.
There's no case to be made for the Democratic Party. Cenk. The Democratic Party is beyond repair. The Democratic Party, since Ronald Reagan got elected, the Democratic Party, it was not that the Democratic Party was in great shape prior to Ronald Reagan becoming president in 1980. But since then, and especially since the days of Bill Clinton, the Democratic Party became a graveyard where progressive ideas go to die. You may have the best of intentions in the world to bring good ideas into the Democratic Party. And Bernie Sanders, the man that I used to respect until he done some stupid, fucked up things in the last couple of years. And one more fucked up thing that he was doing made me just lose a little more respect. And the very last thing he did to basically make me, resent him completely was arresting activists at his senatorial office about a week and a half ago. He could not change the Democratic Party. Do you think you could?
Do any of those guys fight for you like I fight for you? Are they going to support the most popular policies and then tell you how they're going to do it? I mean, we got paid family leave at 84%. So if you can't do that, you're saying I'm an incompetent party or I don't want to do that. So I'll tell you.
Oh, the Democratic Party is incompetent. It's incompetent because it devolved into America's other conservative party. Now, granted, I may disagree with Jimmy Dore slightly about, when I hear him say that the Democratic Party is a greater evil. And he's correct on most things, by the way. He's correct 95% of the time. More correct than Cenk Uygur, obviously. So, the Democratic Party is a lesser evil to the Republicans. But it's not so much of a lesser evil that I feel compelled to go and vote for them. The only thing that makes the Democratic Party even close to marginally better is on a few social issues. They're going to be, they may give a damn about LGBTQ rights, reproductive rights, that sort of thing. They may be, and again, that's not a given either. We're talking about on the average, maybe, and maybe, and they still have a spotty record, and they would, in my opinion, still throw the disenfranchised under the bus, and they have. So even when I'm saying that, I'm not saying that with full certainty. So, we'll say this: definitely the Republican Party's flirting with fascism. That can't be disputed. So you got the Republican Party, which is without question. Not every Republican, but Republicans who are flirting with fascism. And then you got the Democrats who are on paper supposedly marginally better than that and above that, but not in all cases. And in some cases, they're throwing trans under the bus. In some cases, with Biden's crime bill, they incarcerate the blacks in the 1990s. And in some cases, you just name it here and there. There are pockets of situations where the Democrats will fuck over a constituency or a special interest or what have you, that is supposed to be traditional. Look what Bill Clinton did to the unions with NAFTA, case in point. So we need a new political party is basically what I'm saying. Cenk refuses to recognize that.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is not pass the laws. I'm going to do the thing that's going to help pass the laws. I'm going to call Chuck Schumer and say, you better fire that parliamentarian. If he or she is not fired by the end of the day, you're going to have giant trouble. Again, people on TV will go, oh, you can't do that. That is not polite. No, there ain't going to be no filibuster. Well, I'm either going to break those senators or they're going to break me, but we're going to end that filibuster. I mean, if a guy like me wins, that means we got a Democratic House, we got a Democratic Senate, and we're going to pass these damn laws. We're going to pass them, and there ain't nothing in the world that can stop me. So look, guys, the one thing that if you watch Young Turks, but even if you don't, you know, is that I'm relentless. And okay, I get knocked down all the time. It's not that I have an endless string of victories, but have I done things when people thought it wasn't possible? So when I started this, we started in my living room. And if I told people then we're gonna get 5 billion views a year, they would have laughed their ass off. They would have said, that's impossible. If I said to them, we're gonna be the #1 online news show, they would have said that's impossible. If I said to them, I'm going to win an award for the best host on the entire internet, they would have said, this guy's lost his mind. If I said to them, I'm not gonna work for Dan Rather, Dan Rather's gonna work for me. So well, you gotta lock this guy up. How many impossible things do I have to do before maybe people begin to think, maybe it's not impossible? And you know what my magic trick is? You guys. So I'll give you one last example, but I can give you dozens.
You gotta be fast.
Okay, MSNBC. When I announced my nomination for being a host on MSNBC, my agent said it was so embarrassing he wanted to leave me. I eventually fired him. But we got that because of you guys. There isn't anything that we can't do together. CenkForAmerica.com. Watch us. Watch what we do next.
I plan to, and I'm going to laugh every step of the way in doing so. So I want to touch on a few things while I think Cenk is a joke to run for president, and in doing so, let's see what we can get here. Would that work? Would that work? I think that's going to work. Yes. So let's talk about Cenk for a second. Life is not fair, okay? I'm going to say it like it is. Life isn't fair. Cenk can't run for the presidency. And again, as I said, life isn't fair. He's not eligible to run for president because he was born in Turkey. I don't mean to be mean about this. He was born in Turkey. He can't run for president. I mean, yeah, he can go to the courts all he wants, but it's just not going to work. So, I mean, there's not really much to say about that. Cenk is not American. I'm not one of those people that I may even think is wrong for a non-American to be forbidden to run for the presidency. It's not something, not a hill I necessarily die on, but I think that Cenk Uygur is kidding himself about that. You know, even if something amazing happens and he gets the Democratic nomination, he will not be allowed to be on the ballot in all 50 states because he was born in Turkey. So that's a non-starter right there. Another one is he's a dumbass. It's been proven time and time again by Matt Gaetz and even by fucking goddamn centrist Democrats that forced the vote works. Yeah, twice Matt Gaetz forced the vote on Kevin McCarthy this year. And he extracted concessions in early 2023, and he was able to get him kicked out of his speakership, Kevin McCarthy. Forced the vote worked. Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin were able to destroy Build Back Better. The one thing that had it passed that I could almost find Biden, might find something positive in Biden if that would have passed. There was no Build Back Better. And the reason why there was no Build Back Better, and Build Back Better wasn't perfect. There was some pork, there was some shit in there, some aspects of it that I didn't like, and so in many ways it didn't go far enough. But it did have a public option. It did have lower drug prices for prescription drugs, free two-way community college tuitions, parental leave, labor rights protected, that sort of thing. And you heard the right wing say it was woke. It was class reductionist as shit. And Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin basically forced the vote and extracted the good things out of Build Back Better to the point where it was just a piece of shit legislation. So corporate Democrats and unhinged, extreme right-wing, borderline fascist Republicans use force to vote, and it works. And then what did fucking AOC do? She'd go around saying she was glad that the left-wing Democrats did not use force to vote. which basically one more reason why she's worthless. Cenk Uygur is trying to do this to promote the left. How can you promote, the left? We're talking about the shit libs on the right and the Jimmy Dore left. Like it or not, Cenk, the Jimmy Dore left is the left. It's the real left, and it's to your left. So if you can't make peace with the Jimmy Dore left, your campaign's a joke. Your campaign will not survive. Justice Democrats. You and Kyle Kalinske created Justice Democrats. You had a good intentions of a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. It needed to happen. There needed to be a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party. Not ever going to go and dispute that one bit. There needed to be a hostile takeover of the Democratic Party at that time when it was created. I say, fuck that. I say, create a workers' party, a labor party, something. But you know what, Cenk? You created that Justice Democrats. So you know what they did? They fuck you over. They cancel culture you. Yeah, you were a Republican in the 1990s and early 2000s. And when you were in college, just like me, you're ugly as shit. And you were having trouble with your dating life. And you were resentful. So what happened was you were resentful and you wrote on a blog about these misogynist, resentful posts about women. And it came back to bite you in the ass. And, guess what? They cancel culture you over it. I do believe you evolved and, you grew up, and all that. And I still think it was wrong that they cancel culture you and had you kicked out of the Justice Democrats. But, you do apologetic gymnastics for them. Kyle, too. At least Kyle admits is a failure, the Justice Democrats project. I have not heard you talking about it, but suffice to say, it is. The attempt to take over the Democratic Party, to turn it left in the way it needs to be turned left, has been a failure. The Young Turks received Katzenberg money in 2016. I mean, that man was tied in with the Clintons. He's a Clinton donor. And I noticed that the Young Turks went very, very centrist and moved away from a relatively solid left position. Not a hard left position. Y'all were never hard left. And it's funny that there are people to this day that think that the Young Turks are such hard leftists. That's really funny. So, again, I mentioned this earlier. Your failed run for Congress, and what you should have done. I mean, I'm not faulting you for running for Congress in that vacated seat, but you should have. You were considered a joke at that time. Have you not learned what happened to Bernie Sanders in 2016 and 2020? What they did to him? That it was rigged? And even if you gain some traction, look what they did to Robert Kennedy, whatever you may think of Robert Kennedy. And look what he did to Marianne Williamson. This is why Robert Kennedy had to go and run outside to do third party. To some degree, I think that if the Democratic Party primaries were not rigged, Hillary Clinton would have still won anyway, probably. And Joe Biden would have probably still won in 2020. But if it wouldn't have been rigged, it wouldn't have been rigged. But here's the thing about this whole thing. Cornel West probably would be running as a Democrat. And you have a lot of us on the left supporting Cornel West inside the Democratic Party. You should be supporting Cornel West. And I got some criticism of Cornel West right now saying this. And I'm for Cornel West for president. So that's another thing right there. The Democratic Party was, what they did to Bernie was was basically, was what a travesty of justice. And I say this being very critical of Bernie today. What kind of a leftist are you? Are you an SJW? Are you a dirtbag leftist? Or are you a pragmatic center-left technocrat? What are you? Because you've sort of been all of these things. You were like doing sort of a Howard Stern political channel. I would say you and Anna were doing the prototype dirtbag left thing at one time about a decade ago. Then y'all started flirting around with SJW themes with your silly campaign against Halloween costumes, which, this whole SJW thing in 2016 offended me because it sounded just like the Christian fundamentalists of the 1980s and the 1990s. That offended me. Then I saw a lot of lefties do that in the last few years. And I just kind of like, I'm kind of glad to see that there's been a move away from that. And most importantly, why your campaign is a joke. Because we know that you're not going to get the nomination. And we know what's going to happen when when you drop out very quickly and nobody pays any mind to you. And that is, you're going to vote blue no matter who. No matter how horrendous Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom, and in some ways Gavin Newsom might be worse. You're going to go and get behind the line and support the Democrat on top, because Orange Man is bad, and Orange Man is kind of bad, but this is par for the course, and Orange Man is bad. All the Republicans are bad. But you know what? All the normie Democrats running are bad. And some of the insurgent Democrats who came in with good intentions became bad. Maybe all of these people, bad people, are bad in different ways. So, I can't take you seriously, Cenk. But you know what? Thanks for the laughs. Honestly, thanks for. So, anyway, that's basically what I want to say when it comes to Cenk Uygur and his plans to run in 2024. So let's see here. What do we have here? We have here on the chat line. We have Rutherford Mapplethorpe. He's an angry fellow, and he is. But you know what? He's funny. I don't mean like, ha ha ha, he's a good comedian. I mean, he's funny because he's a silly ass clown. Cenk, that is. What a clown. Shankforgriff.com. That's great. And that's Stargazer Steph. How are you doing? What a joke. Absolutely. Snipe Hunter. Hello. How are you? In it to win, his gullible audience, cash. Yeah. I'm even hesitant to give Cornel West cash just yet for the presidency until I'm sure he's not going to drop out. So I'm planning to donate to even Cornel West. I have to go and just wait a moment because if I don't give to Cornel West, I will give to another candidate. Right now, if I do, it'll be Claudia de la Cruz as it stands. How does Anna work next to this turd every day? Well, she gets paid well enough, I guess. So look at the evil in his eyes. I just say he's just a silly man. He really is. So anyway, I just wanted to go and share that with you all. And I have to head on to work in a short while. I stay here a little longer than I should. If you like what you heard, please press like and comment anyway. If you disagree with what I have to say, we'll have a conversation. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Also, what was I going to say? Yes, subscribe to this channel. Follow me on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join me and Jimi Sunderland for Braglands. We'll have a show. And right now, as it stands, I believe it's on October 20th. We will have Warren from the Extra Boya, Warren of the Secret Show, as a guest. So, anything else I need to talk about? And I can't think of right offhand. So, I am going to sign off right now because I have to head on to work. So, I will talk to you all later. You all take care. Bye-bye.